Hey everybody, Mandy Ray of Ecstatic Astrology here to talk about the solar eclipse happening April 30th in Taurus, and also go over the couple of weeks in between. So I'm recording this Wednesday, April 27th in Central US time. That is where all times and dates come from. So check your local time and date in case it's different. The moon has just moved into Aries today. And it conjoined with Jupiter and Neptune last night. I was able to go see it this morning as it rose. And it was impressive is what it was. I didn't actually expect to have the feeling that I had when I viewed the moon, Jupiter, Neptune conjunction. And Mars was off to the right. My camera couldn't quite pick it up. But if you look at my page, I have a really pretty picture of it. And I wonder if I can just share it with you right now. I also happened to catch the SpaceX clouds, which was really, really cool. So I'm going to share my screen with you. Here's my photo. Let's see. I wonder what that looks like on the recording. There's Moon, Venus, Jupiter, I think. Yeah, that is right, because Venus is approaching Jupiter. And then Mars was over here. I don't think, no, it was way up here. So yeah, that's the moon, Jupiter, Neptune conjunction. So yeah, that happened last night. And it was April 26th into the 27th. And now the moon's in Aries, which is decidedly more action oriented. Pisces kind of felt like a dream, and it was. I had some really weird things happen. That's just how it goes, right? And now the moon's in Aries, which is Mars ruled. Mars is still in Pisces. So we got Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Neptune, all of these things in Pisces, which is just kind of space out, man. You know, like Mars, the planet of action, let go. Just like, I just want to dance, you know? I'm okay with that stereotype because I have a Pisces moon. So that, you know, it's definitely true in some ways for Pisces, the sign, okay? All right, so leading up to the eclipse, the biggest thing going on is the Pluto stationing retrograde. And the retrograde happens April 29th. It's already slowing down April 27th. Pluto's power, Pluto's transformation. It can be the shadow. It's uncovering truths and things of that nature. Let's turn over the rock and see what's under it. That's a Pluto concept. When any planet goes retrograde, you know, there's a few different ways of looking at it. It's kind of going its own direction. And so a lot of times the planet can have this more powerful effect. There is a little contention in astrology. You know, is the planet more powerful or less powerful when it's retrograde? Are we revisiting things? Are we redoing things? How does that factor into the Pluto story? And Pluto's in Capricorn, which is rules, structure, governmental banking systems, government systems. I mean, it's the authority, it's success, it's the top of the mountain. So that's where Pluto has been examining power struggles, trying to empower you there, change the narrative, transform the narrative about where our boundaries are, what success is, what government means. And so, you know, pay attention around April 29th. I do believe the moon from Aries will square Pluto as it's stationing. That's probably going to happen. Oh, when is that? Aries moon. Yeah, that's, of course, it's right before the eclipse. So we're talking at the Pluto station, basically. Pluto goes retrograde at exactly 1:35 p.m. and the moon is almost exactly square at that time. So this can be a little tense on Friday. Usually this is going to have to do with, do I want to go my own way? And Pluto and Capricorn's like, you know, we need to change the rules. Aries moon just wants to take action. Pluto and Capricorn has structure, but it's going retrograde, right? So you could have a little sensitive moment, you know, maybe of empowering yourself, being yourself, that sort of a thing leading up to this. And if it, you know, if that weren't enough, the solar eclipse is happening not too long after the Pluto station. So, I mean, when you see them one day next to each other, a Pluto station retrograde and then an eclipse, they kind of get wrapped up into the same story. Okay. So let's talk about this solar eclipse. It's in Taurus. It's a new moon. All solar eclipses are a new moon. The moon passes in between the sun and the earth, and it blots out the sun. Now, this is a time when people say that the fates take over, the gods take over. It's malefic. You'll hear that about the solar eclipse. It's a malefic thing. And I don't totally agree. I think the solar eclipse is quite nice, actually. In Taurus, Taurus is the sign of values and the sign of self-worth, and it's fertility in all its forms, whether that be creative fertility, earth fertility, human fertility. That's, it is fertile. Things grow, things put down roots in Taurus. Things are nourished and comfortable in Taurus. This eclipse is a North Node eclipse. The North Node is the head of the dragon. That's what it's called, or referred to. And it is where we're focusing on, where we're growing things, especially in Taurus. So that could be growing our self-worth, growing our value system, growing our assets, right? Of course, it matters where it's at in your chart, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. So go ahead and get your rising sign ready. If you don't know it, look it up, because I'm going to go through each rising sign and tell you exactly what theme for the solar eclipse is going on. Now, the one caveat about this, comfort and aesthetics and, beauty and fertileness and abundance and self-worth and assets and money and values and all of those really nice, juicy Taurus words, Uranus is there. Uranus is the change maker. It flips things upside down. It's upheaval. It's unexpected events. It's freedom. It's liberation, rebellion, innovation. These are all Uranian concepts. Now, Uranus in Taurus has been, if you want to just make it a sentence, shifting our values, upending our money. There's been revolution and rebellion with regard to climate change. Leading up to this eclipse, someone self-immolated in front of the Supreme Court to draw attention to climate change. I wish I had his name right here with me so that I could say it, because that is exactly what Uranus and Taurus pertains to. It is, we have to have a new value system in order to move forward, in order to grow, okay? So I think it's quite opportunistic. I like Uranian events. Sometimes they can be uncomfortable, especially in Taurus, but what comfort is for us is what's changing, the whole idea of what is comfortable is changing for each one of us. Okay, so Taurus is ruled by Venus. Every planet has one, sometimes two signs that they consider their domain, like they rule it, okay? And then all planets have a second place that they really like their vacation home, vacation sign, if you will. And Venus is exalted. That's its vacation home. It works really well, really enjoys itself in Pisces. And Pisces is the sign of limitlessness. I think that's a word. It is the ether, it's intuition, it's spirituality. I know that's a very general term, and I know it's probably overused, but I don't know how else to refer to that concept. In Christian imagery, it's the Holy Spirit. It's, what talks to you in your soul. That's a Neptunian concept. It can also be boundlessness and escape. It can be confusion and lack of clarity, fog. It's mutable water. So Venus there, Venus ruling Taurus, our values, what we, love, what we find aesthetically pleasing, our senses, is looking through the lens of Pisces, which can be a little foggy. So, after the Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, I think that with Jupiter, and that's my next point is that Jupiter is also in Pisces and they are coming together. With Jupiter there, I do believe it's bringing a little bit of clarity to the situation. Even though Pisces lacks clarity, once Jupiter moved past Neptune, the truth is like, I think I see it being brought into focus. And I think this moment is a big moment of that. Venus and Jupiter are within 2 minutes, not 2 degrees. They're at the same degree, 27 degrees of Pisces, and they're 2 minutes away from each other at the solar eclipse. So they're 60 minutes, 30 degrees, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So it is very close to its exact conjunction at the time of this eclipse. So it's a part of the story. It's the ruler, Venus, of the eclipse with Jupiter. And these are both benefic planets. They both bring benefit. So am I scared of this eclipse? Not at all. Do I think it's malefic? It doesn't appear to be. You know, like this is an opportunity. We're going to have things brought in that we may not expect. So keep your eyes open, your intuition, your spidey senses high, because there could be an opportunity here. You also could have an intuitive push to, you know, like, I don't value that anymore. I took a nap today because I got up very early to see the Jupiter-Neptune, Jupiter-Venus conjunction. So I was up really early, and so I took a little nap later, and I woke up and there was this Netflix, I guess, or whatever, I had it on, documentary playing about single-use plastics. And it just, the guilt just washed over me. And, you know, it's like almost you make this momentary, like it was like, I'm not using single-use plastics anymore. I mean, I'm someone who conserves and cares about the environment and does the best I can. But like this documentary just blew my mind. That's a Uranus and Taurus, Venus and Jupiter and Pisces moment. Okay. It just washes over you. What do I value? I value the earth. I don't want to be a part of the problem, you know, and that's just one example. So let's talk about it through the rising signs. I'm going to share the chart so that you can see where I'm referring to when I look at your rising sign. So let's go. I actually have the Pluto station, April 29th at 1:35 p.m. pulled up, and you can see here the moon, this is in Aries, is square Pluto right there as it stations retrograde. So I just wanted to show you that. And then we moved into just hours later. I'm going to go by hours so you can see. We've got the solar eclipse. Now the solar eclipse is exact at 3:28 p.m. in Central Daylight Time. So I've got 4:35 a.m. pulled up right here. Why is that? That is because as we move toward the eclipse, you know, a different sign rises. Like it can vary between 45 minutes, every 45 minutes, every 2 hours. It varies. But I wanted to show you, you know, like Aries risings. That's what was going on when you were born, Aries. Aries was coming up. This is the horizon right here. Okay. So whoop, there's Aries rising. Okay. So let's talk about the solar eclipse. It will be in your second house. Now, the second house has similar connotations to Taurus, okay? It is your values, your assets, but perhaps even more material manifestation of that. And that is because the second house in astrology is the material themes in your life. Like this is where it plays out. So this is definitely playing out. It won't play out for everyone in their finances. And sometimes in that will be tweaked, and it'll be like, you know, the value of your home or the value of, you know, your relationships. This for you is money. That's all there is to it for Aries risings. It's what you own. It's your self-worth in a very real way. Okay. Now there is some sort of shift coming in. I think solar eclipse will, especially with the North Node, bring in new possibilities, new ideas, new awareness in this area. At the same time, Venus and Jupiter will be in your 12th house. This is spirituality. It can be surrender. I want to bring that into focus for Aries risings. There is something you are moving away from. And like this is with love. There's some truth here, okay? You are surrendering to the universe, whatever it has for you. There's a little bit of retreat involved here. You value maybe your alone time, your spirituality, and that is what is going to inform your assets, your self-worth, your values in this area. Okay. I want to mention that the solar eclipse is very close to exactly sextile Mars in Pisces. I didn't talk about this in the beginning, and I just really focused on the ruler, but I do want to bring that up. And it's the same house, 12th house, and Mars is action. But you're taking action on the dissolving, a little bit. It's like your ego is more focused on the spiritual aspects of it than anything. So what are you moving away from? What is ending for you? And what is beginning in your self-worth, your assets, your values, your money? That's what's coming in. So the other thing is, this is very intuitive, very spiritually connected moment for you. And if you can tap into that, there will be some aha moment, I feel like. Now, of course, this is a long story. We're going to have a second set of eclipses in the fall. Okay, so this is when it starts. We're thrust into new path, new fate, new whatever. Okay. And I say new because it's Uranus. Uranus and new kind of go together. All right. Oh, make my little lion hair here a little bigger. Okay, so let's move to Taurus risings, which I don't know if you realize that this eclipse is in Taurus, because I've only said it 8 billion times. So, you would think, it's very profound, and it is. Okay, so Taurus risings, this is in your first house of identity and self. So the self-worth aspect really comes in, but also the change in values and how you are seen to the world. Like perhaps you may value, being seen, your identity changing in a certain way. So like you want to be seen as, I want to wear cowboy clothes now. I know that's a really ridiculous example, but something's changing for you there, and how you present yourself to the world and how you see yourself and others see you. So you may have to, be open to some change there. If someone's been bugging you to, hey, you should try just growing a mustache. It'd be so cool. And you're like, I don't want to do that. Maybe this is the time to give it a try or something, or really focus on what you do value about how you're seen, how people see you. Now, Venus and Jupiter are in your 11th house of networking, goals, and large groups of people. Okay. So this could have something to do with a new group in your life, or, new goals that you have. So it's like, if I'm going to join the circus, I really got to get, the outfits that go with it. I try to make my examples kind of ridiculous so that it doesn't like put things in people's head, because, this is your own path. Every human is different. Every human has a different birth chart. That's what's so beautiful about astrology. So the overwhelming theme, and even the sextile to Mars in your 11th house, is networking, large groups of people, including like nonprofits, organizations. That's an 11th house topic. The future, your goals, all of that is coming into focus with Venus, Jupiter, gaining clarity, maybe having some intuition there, maybe having dreams of how great it can be. And then the solar eclipse is like, so let's change the identity a little bit. Okay, let's focus on it even, or let's just start thinking about it. You feel nudges toward that way. You don't have to if you see this video and it's like, oh, hey, Taurus risings, changing identity, you don't have to do anything. Like you can take that advice and go, well, maybe I should think about changing my looks, or the way I present myself, or the way I speak, or ask people how they see me, or how, whatever, do a video, watch it back. But also these things are already they're gonna happen. This just reflects life. So like, you may be like, that doesn't, I don't know. First of all, if it doesn't match, you might want to check your birth time. But second of all, If you're not feeling that yet, that's exactly what this eclipse is bringing in. Like, reset button, here we go. All right. Gemini risings. This is in your 12th house, spirit, dreams, retreat. I shy away from the negative connotations of the 12th house. There are some. I don't, whatever, toxic positivity, spiritual bypassing. I don't like to say this is traditionally known as the house of self-undoing. I mean, maybe in Babylon, okay. But it's not always like that, okay? It more often than not sends you into spiritual quests. Maybe dreams are more active. You may feel spacier, that is for sure, because this is like the space outhouse. Why? The sun rises here, and it's like the twilight zone. I'm stepping into the twilight zone. I don't know why I did that, but there you go, Gemini risings. And so something's changing here, okay? Now, Venus and Jupiter, 10th house, career, public reputation, legacy. And so some clarity is coming in there. It's going to inform the spiritual area, okay? So I don't know how those might match up for you, whether you need, the 12th house can be endings as well. So it's interesting that Uranus changes thing. There may be something you all of a sudden realize you need to separate from, and it may have to do with career, and vice versa. You may be perfectly happy in your career, but you need some moments of retreat, more spiritual connection, more meaning in your life. And that's what this is for you. So I hope that you really, the intuitive messages, like, stay open to them. Synchronicities, the same bird flies by every morning, that kind of a thing. So just stay in touch with that part of yourself. Meditation, hiking, all of that's really good for this time period for you, okay? I'm not going to give the next lunar eclipse translations yet, because that's going to be about letting go, like what you're moving away from. This is what you're moving toward, and you're moving toward more spiritual connection, retreat, perhaps meditation, intuition. There's so many words for the 12th house, and that's a good thing for you guys to go do your own research, find out what the 12th house means. All you got to do is type in 12th house astrology on the Google, and you will find so many articles, books, so these things, I hope they lead you down your own rabbit holes. That's what this is for. And then, of course, spiritual connection in regards to public reputation and career. And maybe that's what you want to be seen as, more dreamy and spiritual, more like this has meaning for me. Okay. Cancer risings. This solar eclipse is in your 11th house of networking, large groups of people, organizations, future goals. So something here can be changing, can be shifting your values, your assets, especially in regards to 11th house topics, right? So maybe you have future goals that include, I want to make more money, or I want to be more seen. I want to change something in this area. I have new values. Maybe I want to move toward a different group of people. Maybe I want the people that I surround myself with to actually care and respect me, and that sort of thing. So the 9th house is where Venus and Jupiter are, and Mars and Neptune and Juno and so many things. The 9th house is travel. It is higher education and learning. It's also teaching. It's also the house of the guru. It's knowledge and truth. And I also like to call it the choose your own adventure house, because it is your path. It's like your reality, how you interface with reality. That's the 9th house. So quick little example, I'm a Cancer rising. I'm the president of a nonprofit, and that's going on right now for me in this solar eclipse. And I'm working really hard to get a new sound system put in. It's a theater. And my 9th house, I'm traveling to a conference, an astrology conference to meet with people and network, 11th house. And that's going to be, I'm flying out in the morning, and I'll be there during the solar eclipse. It's like, I didn't plan it that way. It's reflecting what's going on in my life without me even trying. And I'm going to also be learning while I'm there. And wow, I just love it so much. Okay. So Cancer risings, that's what's in store for you. It's similar. It could be that you are looking for new groups of people because you have changed your philosophy, or there could be a religious aspect to this as well. The ninth house rules like religion, like man's religion. That's what I say. Because Neptune 12th house is like religion beyond limits. So it's not religion. It's like spirituality beyond what man can write. Okay. It's messages from spirit. Ninth house is like book learning, the written scriptures and things of that nature. That's the sort of ninth house philosophy that you bring in there. So adventure, exploration, future goals. This is wide open for Cancer risings right now. And I really, really like this. Okay. Leo risings. This is in your 10th house of career, top of the chart, my public reputation, your values around career, legacy, how people see you, not in the identity way, in the very public way. That's what's changing for you, or going through a value shift, or maybe you want to make more money at work, etc. Maybe you don't even care anymore because you've had something happen in your life that causes you to not have to worry about money. And so like this changes your whole perception of what career is. And I don't have to do this specific career. I can do anything. Okay. Why am I saying that? That is because Jupiter, Neptune, Venus, the Jupiter-Venus conjunction, Neptune and Mars are all in your 8th house. The 8th house is inheritance, other people's money, think grants and loans, taxes, contracts, shared resources, the money from your spouse, maybe family money. That is the 8th house. Okay. And there is a very fortunate conjunction happening there. The 8th house can also be associated with the loss. Do I expect that? I don't want to write that into, but it's interesting. Loss, inheritance, they kind of go together in most situations, but also contracts, business partnerships, investments. Okay. So that is what is like becoming clear. You're finding out what that means for you. And this will have something to do with career. It could be that you're signing a business contract with someone and you're forming this company. That could be a possibility. It could be, I inherited a bunch of money and now I don't have to work. It could be, oh my gosh, my spouse lost their job. I've got to have a new career. No matter what, I do think this ends in opportunity and goodness. Okay. I feel like that. So be open, grab your surfboard, surf the waves, don't fight them. That's the thing. Open to the shift. Okay. Virgo rising. This solar eclipse is in your 9th house, the choose your own adventure house. This is travel. This is higher education and learning and philosophy and worldview. Okay. The solar eclipse is your values. So philosophical values, think that way. Do you value travel? How much money does it take to travel? You can mix these themes in so many different ways, but there could be an opportunity to travel coming up for you. And Jupiter and Venus, Neptune, Mars are in your 7th house of relationships. So it could come through that, like maybe it's that you've met someone who's got a summer house and, your favorite place to vacation, and they say, hey, here you go. You can travel to it. So your relationships come into play here. Maybe it's that your spouse is like a traveler and you've never traveled as much before, and you're really starting to value it yourself. Now, it could also be teaching and higher education. You may find that you have people looking up to you right now and that you're being brought into more of a mentoring role. And if I didn't say this before, solar eclipses, you can't really do anything. You can maybe sort of direct things, but like these things will come in how they come in. And I'm so fascinated by this. So I'm really excited to see, but there's clarity, there's truth, there's abundance in your relationship area right now. And it's shaping your philosophy on life. It's shaping your worldview. And maybe it's bringing more self-worth in, and you're having a mind-opening experience from that. But it's also time to start sharing your thoughts and beliefs with others, I think, during this time. Okay, let's go with Libra rising. Oh, Libra rising. Oh, my daughter's a Libra rising. I have a personal experience with this eclipse stuff for her. I think the new moon solar eclipse is in your 8th house of other people's money, inheritance, taxes, investments, shared resources, contracts, business partnerships. Something could change there. Usually you're developing where the North Node is, so bringing in something new there, but this is also very fated. Okay, so this area is the area that's like, whoa, I didn't even expect that, whatever. The 6th house is where Venus and Jupiter are for you. This is your daily life, your rituals, your routine. Something has come to light around your health, around maybe what you do for work and money, around your daily life, and maybe something's changing about the way you value your shared resources right now, maybe about the way you feel like this could also be, a moment of empowerment. The 8th house can often be about feeling disempowered in some way. But the good thing for you, that like the very fortunate thing, is the 6th house of health and ritual and daily life and work and pets. Pets are another 6th house thing. So maybe it's that whatever's going on in your 8th house is good for you in your body, and it could be that you went through a moment of disempowerment and you decide to shift the focus onto, well, if that situation is not going to work out and I have to break contracts, that could also happen. I have to change the way I feel in this situation, my self-worth. My self-worth maybe has been associated with something outside of me, and now it's time to bring it inside of me. Because the 8th house can also be the shadow, right? Transformation, loss, inheritance. Though, what are you inheriting? And I think let's look at Venus and Jupiter for that. And I think that is a daily life that feels more spiritually connected. Like, let's say, I'll give a personal example. So my daughter's Libra rising, and I hope she is okay with me sharing this. She's been playing volleyball for a long time. And loves it, loves the sport. And she did not make the team for 9th grade. And it devastated her, as it should, as it would me, as it would anybody who loves the sport. And you know what? I had to kind of sit her down, because she was really worried last year. It took away her summer. She practiced all day, every day during her summer. And she didn't get much of one. She's going to get that this summer. So you have to look at the things that come out of left field. I never even considered she wouldn't get picked. She's a great volleyball player. I have my questions. I'm not going to say anymore. But, this unexpected event, and yeah, we're not at the eclipse yet, but trust me, these themes are coming in, that disempowered her. There is goodness, and it's in her body, in her health, in her daily life. Maybe she decides she's going to babysit this summer, make some money, lots of different things that can happen here. But I give you that example, Libra rising, so you know what I'm talking about. Okay. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Y'all tell her you love her. She's so awesome. She's such an artistic kid, and she's so great. And she's a great volleyball player, and she deserves to know that. Okay. That was a personal moment. Sorry. I'm gonna cry. It's not easy to have 8th house stuff happen. It's just not sometimes. And sometimes 8th house can be, you decide to sign a contract with someone else, and maybe she'll decide to play intramural, or something like that. So it breaks a contract sometimes, but it can make one as well. And I think that's Libra rising's experience with this eclipse season. Okay. Sorry about that little breakdown. Scorpio risings. Scorpio, this is for you in your relationship area. Values, basically your life is changing in this area. Maybe you realize you want friends. You could have a new partnership that is changing your life in some way. And you're having a different perspective, a perspective shift on relationships. I think maybe your self-worth in relationship is changing. Maybe your partner has brought in money to your life, or greater comfort. That could also be changing a little bit. You could be in search of a new relationship, with it being Uranus. Okay, Uranus is upheaval, unexpected events, change. But Venus and Jupiter are together. And that's in your 5th house of romance, children, creativity, inner child, joy. Really loving this for Scorpio risings, who otherwise, there's some hard stuff going on for Scorpios right now. But this looks like, okay, great, joy. There's truth coming in here, creative truth in your heart, truth about, what do I want to get out of my life? How do I want to express myself? I want to have fun. What does fun mean for you? Are you letting your inner child speak? That is important. Are you, and it could be actual children, relationships with children. Maybe you just had a child. Maybe you're planning on it. Maybe you've decided you never want to. This is the value question, but this 5th house is informing your relationship area for this specific eclipse. Okay. So I hope this really ends up being a fun eclipse moment for you, and that you are more clear on what brings you joy. This is a pretty cool spot to have Jupiter, Neptune conjoin, or Jupiter, Venus conjoin. I'll say that. Okay. Sagittarius rising. The solar eclipse is in your 6th house of health, daily life, work, pets, routine, rituals, new values coming in there, a change coming into it could be like your daily life is disrupted, or you want to bring in a new routine, or you want to, start Peloton. Whatever, something like that. Okay. And it has to do with what you do every day. It has to do with work. It has to do with health. It has to do with valuing your body, for sure. Okay. Even mental health. Let's say it that way. Now, Venus and Jupiter are together in your 4th house of home and family. That is quite the nice place to have it. This feels very comfortable. And it could be that you realize, you are so supported in your home and family that you are, okay, it's time to focus on me. It's time to focus on my body, my daily life, my rituals. It could also be that something in your home, maybe you want to improve your home, or you have improved your home and it's changing your daily routine. It could be family that come into play. Past, the 4th house rules emotional security, or has themes associated with emotional security, and family, and like ancestry. Okay. So there could be a little bit of that coming in. Very good. Very auspicious with Venus, Jupiter there. And whatever is going on in your home, family, emotional security area, that is informing your 6th house of health, daily life, and routine. So like, let's just say your family's been arguing, or, like you guys don't, I'm just coming up with crazy examples, nothing like, no judgments or anything, but like, let's just say you get really aggravated that you're not having dinner together every night. And you realize you value that time and that routine. That's an example of how this could come out for you. And of course, it's much wider than that. There's, so many possibilities with this conjunction, but overall, I feel like it's going to be a really nice and comforting time to like build yourself up, whether it be emotionally or physically. Okay. Capricorn risings, solar eclipse in your 5th house of children, home and family. I'm sorry. Gosh, I'm still stuck on Sagittarius rising. Children, creativity, romance, love, and joy. All right. This is about your values changing there. It's like perhaps, again, just examples, you thought you wanted to have a child and now you're like, actually, no. Some sort of decision is also coming into play. Venus and Jupiter are in your third house of decisions, communication, the way you think, local community, siblings, the way you speak to people, the way you communicate, all of that. So I feel like this is like you've realized something and it's informing this fifth house area. So again, fifth house, and I gave that example of having children because that is a heavy theme for the fifth house is children. That could also be inner child though, joy. Like what makes me happy? How do I value my own creativity? How do I value like what happiness is? And there is a decision that is coming in clear, like you're starting to trust yourself, you're starting to communicate better, or maybe you're deciding, I'm going to share my creativity. I'm going to share my story. Third house is really about speaking, teaching, and it could be also local trips, which is an interesting thing, siblings. So hopefully you're going to get good news, and that's going to make you happy. Hopefully there is a decision that you make and it's going to bring you more joy, but also don't forget to I would say, trust yourself when being creative. Trust the creative process. That's another thing I'm going to say to Capricorn risings right now. You got a lot of support in that way for this eclipse. And you may even decide you value being creative and you never really thought about it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, wow, I didn't realize I liked home decorating this much until I had to decorate the home, something like that. All right. Also, I do feel like if there's been any issues around children, home and family, that could be coming into more clarity around this time. Children, inner child, and romance too. Before I move on, Capricorn risings, you need to value romance in your life. And that may be there is just an awareness of something here. And I feel like I haven't spoken to it completely, but there is a renewed sense of needing a creative spark. It's like you've been out here far too long. You've been in the world, career success, thinking of outward, and this is like inward time for you. It's coming back to your heart. Okay, sorry about that. Was being led to say more. Aquarius risings. The solar eclipse is in your fourth house of home and family. Generally, when I see a solar eclipse in the fourth house, I'm like, either you're trying to move, you're trying to improve your home, you're trying to feel better at home, your family, there's something going on there. So your values around home and family could be changing right now. What is family to you? Maybe you just decide on a whim, you want to move your office or something like that. Maybe you decide you want to improve your home. This definitely matters because Venus and Jupiter are in your second house of finances. So like I see something in your home and family being very supported by money. And the other thing is your assets, your self-worth, and those two are tied together right now. Maybe if you want a greater sense of emotional security, you have to also find this wonderful opportunity, of I really deserve it. That's it. Like I deserve to be comfortable. That's what the solar eclipse is for Aquarius risings. But I'll also say you're very focused on home issues and home themes right now and your own inner security. The other thing is Venus and Jupiter are bringing clarity into what you do value. I almost want to go into the South Node for Aquarius risings because you're letting go of some sort of career idea, and then bringing it back into home space, or, could even be buying land. That's another fourth house topic, property ownership, offices that you work from, that because those can be like home as well. So something's shifting there. Your values around home and family and your money are shifting. Okay. Last but never least, Pisces risings. Woo, buddy. It's coming for you. This solar eclipse is in your third house of decision-making, communication, local trips, short trips, not foreign, short. And so you may be doing more of that. Your mind may be busier. You may find that you are a little busier right now. I mean, it's kind of, the third house can be a little frenetic, but yeah, trusting yourself. Okay. Learning new things as well. The third house listens, it's open to data. And so you're valuing your voice a lot more and also listening to others. Now, Venus and Jupiter, they're in your first house of identity and self and being seen. And so here's the thing. It's like, what if you all of a sudden have this clarity on how to present yourself? And maybe someone says, you know, this is what you are to me. And you never realized before that people viewed you this way. That's a thing that could happen around this solar eclipse for you. Third house can definitely deal with realizations. You may change your mind, your perspective. Uranus is shifting that. And then there's also something you could be freed from. There's liberation of the mind here. There is a greater sense of self-worth, but it's integrated into your thought processes more than it ever has been. And also, yeah, trust yourself. Communicate who you are. That's what this is for you, Pisces risings. Okay, that does it for the rising delineations. Now I can move on to the rest of the week. And I will let me pull up my notes because I'll just say this before I move on. This is a busy time. Like, it's not just eclipse season. There's a lot happening in the middle of eclipse season. A lot. A whole lot. And like mind-blowingly changing. Okay. The first thing is we're in Mercury retrograde shadow right now. And Mercury moves into Gemini. I mean, like the day of or the day before the eclipse. What is it? Let me switch to Aries rising here. Yeah, April 29th at night. So, Mercury moves into Gemini as it's trining Pluto, stationing to go direct. Okay, of course. Of course. So yeah, anyway, Mercury is moving into Gemini. That is the sign that it will eventually go retrograde in. I changed it to Aries rising because this is the sort of the natural way of looking at the zodiac, Aries, first sign, whatever. So that way, when I move dates, it won't move by rising sign. It'll just move the planets. Okay. So this is April 29th, 6:35 p.m. Mercury moves into Gemini. At 4 degrees, it will go retrograde. This is May 10th. Okay, I'm giving you a little overview before I actually get to the 10th. I'm still on April 29th. But that means it's going to retrace all these steps. It went into shadow, I believe, yesterday, 26 degrees of Taurus. So it will move forward to 4 degrees of Gemini and eventually retrace all of that as it goes retrograde and comes back to 26 degrees of Taurus to go direct again. Okay. So this is going to be frenetic, okay? Busy, lots of information. You may have to revisit it. Mercury is a sign of the planet of commerce, and it will be in its home sign of Gemini when it goes retrograde May 10th. So April 29th, pay attention. I mean, there's already the Pluto stationing direct. And it's funny, like, look at this. 29 degrees of Taurus is trine by a degree of 28 Capricorn as Pluto's going. What time does it go direct or retrograde? I mean, Pluto goes retrograde at around just after 2, and Mercury is trine Pluto at that time in Taurus. And then boom, Mercury moves into Gemini. There it is. So April 29th, pretty big. And then solar eclipse, April 30th. We're in the shadow of the retrograde. I just had to say that. Now, when I move into the day after the eclipse, Mercury's at the 1st degree of Gemini, the moon's still in Taurus, and it will transit Taurus, I think up until May 2nd. So you can say, yeah, up until overnight, May 2nd, it moves into Gemini. The reason I point this out is because while the moon's in Taurus, it's still in the sign of its its eclipse. And so this time it's filled with eclipse energy just because the moon's in the same sign. I think you're really kind of there's a lot of people who say don't do rituals or practices around the solar eclipse. There's some people who say it's okay. That's up to you. You can do your own research on that. I tend to like to wait till after the moon's moved into at least the next sign, gets about 15 degrees away. That's just my preferred thing. Passes the node, all of that. So I wanted to give you that info. It moves into Gemini, it looks like overnight. So probably just after 6:30 a.m. Central Time or 6 a.m. Central Time, May 2nd. Now, let me pull out my notes and see what else is happening here. Okay, yeah, the next big thing is May 2nd, and we can point it out here. I will circle it. So we got the moon hitting Mercury. May 2nd is a pretty big day. It's maybe aware, very aware, and I'll tell you why. Venus is leaving Pisces, and it will move into Aries at about what time? Venus moving into Aries is quite a big deal and quite a big shift, especially after having an eclipse ruled by Venus in Pisces, exalted. Venus in Aries is in its opposite its home sign. Okay, so it looks like 11:10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So, of course, Eastern, it would be 12:10. Do the math. I get confused and I'll probably say the wrong thing. Okay. May 2nd, Venus moves into Aries. Venus is the planet of love and values and balance and justice and other people, relationships. And when it moves into Aries, it kind of becomes self-focused. Okay. So Venus in Aries is like, I need to be focused on me, myself, and what I need. Now, I think it helps that the ruler of Aries, Mars, is in Pisces. So we still have that Piscean sort of influence with Venus and Aries. Now, the other thing is, I think it reflects, this brings up the mirror of others in a big way when Venus is in Aries. So watch for relationships to get a little weird because we do tend to want to take care of ourselves first with Venus and Aries. Okay. Like it's just survival instinct. Okay. All right. So the next big thing is going to be Sun and Uranus conjunction, sextile Mars and Pisces. That is May 4th and 5th. So let me look really quick at May 3rd. The moon's still in Gemini. The moon will square Mars. That's something to note around midday. That can be a moment of like inflammation, or it can be kind of intense. So just note that. And then we get to the 4th, and there's the Sun and Uranus together. So we had the solar eclipse at 10 degrees, conjunct Uranus. It was 3 degrees away. I can't remember. 4 degrees away, fairly close within the sphere of influence. But the sun doesn't actually hit Uranus until May 4th. May the 4th be with you. This is going to be an interesting May the 4th be with you. Okay. And the reason I say that is because Uranus is the upheaval. It's the change maker. It's the shifting sands. It is innovation. And oftentimes, especially with the sun, which is the solar force, when it aligns, this is when you'll see some upheaval and see some unexpected events. You may not see it directly on the eclipse. I do feel like this will be a big deal. So the other part of this conjunction is that it is sextile Mars. Mars is action. Mars is energy. It's willpower. In Pisces, it's like a spiritual warrior. You'll have that. It can also be just like, I don't care enough to survive. But it can also be highly intuitive and know exactly what move to make because they got the message here in their spirit. And it's like, oh, I know where to look for that. Okay. So this is an interesting sextile. Sextiles are opportunistic. What might we be getting from this Mars and Pisces to the sun, Uranus, and Taurus? What messages on value, self-worth, all of the things that I talked about for the solar eclipse? This is going to be in the same houses. Okay. So that theme does not end on the 30th. It just keeps going and going. Okay. So at the same time, Venus is, well into Aries. So this Mars is ruling Venus right now. So we still have all these themes just so highly active. It could be a productive day because of that. The moon will be trining Saturn, which, get the work done. That's pretty good. Mercury's in Gemini, not yet retrograde, but something to note. Okay, so I would just expect the unexpected May 4th and perhaps even into May 5th. The moon's in Cancer starting May 5th and 6th as well. It will square Venus on the 5th, which, pretty cool, I guess. Venus is a benefic, moon square Venus. I don't really see many problems with that, except for the fact Cancer and Aries are cardinal. It could be sensitive, okay? Let's see, what's the next big thing? Where's my notes? May 8th, it's the first quarter square. Okay, so moon moves through Cancer May 5th and 6th, into Leo May 7th, and then May 8th, we have the first quarter square of the moon. Now, this is crisis in action. And this is when we generally, from the new moon phase, will take action on that topic. So the moon in Leo is really focused on shining the light, okay? It's really kind of an interesting place for the moon because the moon rules Cancer, which is a water sign. This is a fixed fire sign, right? So it's also the sun's domain. So the moon's like, oh, I just blocked out the sun and now I'm in its domain squaring the sun. So it could be a little interesting. I'll say that. I would mark this as a high energy day. It can just be about, where your heart is versus these new values versus whatever theme the Taurus eclipse brought up for you. Maybe something shifted there and now your inner kid has to get okay with it. And now you have to take action on it in some way. Maybe Leo will really, be out with how they feel about things. This brings a lot of attention to heart chakra and also look at me. I need you to understand me. I need you to see me, emotions in that way. So inner child stuff could come up for this first quarter square. All right. May 9th is where things get interesting, honestly. And that is because Jupiter is at the very last degree of Pisces. So we're about to have Jupiter move, okay? We're also about to have Mercury go retrograde. So keep an eye on this area. There's Jupiter, there's Mercury. As I move hour by hour, this is May 9th, you can see that. What happens first? That's what we're trying to, oh, it's the Mercury retrograde. All right, so watch this little red RX pop up here. So this is at 7:10 a.m. May 10th. And Mercury will station to go retrograde. And then right after that, we go hour by hour. There's Jupiter in Aries at 7:10 p.m. moving into Aries. And all of a sudden, we have a major shift, Jupiter in the sign of action, in the sign of willpower, in the sign of get it done, in the sign of I'm not thinking, I'm doing. And in my research about Jupiter-Neptune conjunctions in Pisces, I found this one interesting thing. And it seems like a lot of planning, maybe secrets, maybe illusion, deception was happening under Jupiter-Neptune in Pisces as soon as Jupiter moved into Aries. In my research, wars happened, things moved forward. It's interesting that it's been related to newspapers as well, because I saw that like in the 1600s, there was something published for the first time. It was like the first actual newspaperish thing. And then the 1800s, when Jupiter and Neptune came together, it was another newspaper type situation. So I found that interesting. It's like the truth is being told finally. In Pisces, it was under this veil of fog. In Aries, it's like, hey, here's what we're doing. Now, Mercury retrograde in Gemini is like, oh, things have changed. We need to rethink this. We need more information. I've found out something new. We have new info that is going to, make me have to go back, rethink, research all of these things. So May 10th is big on my radar for either things coming out in the news, learning new things that we didn't know, things being uncovered, et cetera, et cetera. The one caveat I have is that Mars, which rules Aries, is still in Pisces. So we may not see that specific effect come up until Mars moves into Aries, which will be May 24th, which is after the next eclipse. So, that may not be exactly the way it happens, but when May 24th rolls around, it's really going to be a big deal. So watch it. Let's just see what happens. Mars is still kind of in the fog of Pisces. It's still kind of up in the clouds. Okay. And so it may not be that fast to get off the ground, but I do expect it to be extremely fast when Mars moves into Aries. And then we have a Mars Jupiter conjunction. So late May is going to be real active, just so you know. And we're already starting the action starting on the 10th. Now, we move into May 11th, and the sun conjuncts the North Node. This is more eclipse stuff. This is a ping, I will say, of what the eclipse story is about. So the pings keep happening. Even as the moon moves on and moves on, the pings keep happening. All right. So that's May 13th. I'm sorry for looking for the date that the exact conjunction of the sun North Node happens. Okay. May 14th, we have Venus conjoining Chiron and the sun squaring Saturn. So May 14th is going to be high on my sensitive list. The sun square Saturn can feel like limitations, blocks, like honestly, especially because the sun, we've already had the sun Uranus new phase conjunction. This is the first quarter square, just kind of like a first quarter square of the moon to the sun. So this is like crisis in action is what it's called. So Saturn is sort of holding the sun on a leash at this point, and it's about to break away. It's that breakaway moment that can be so tense and a little jarring, a little intense. I'm going to say that. And it's going to have a lot to do with the themes of the Uranus Saturn square that was going on and will continue to get close to happening again back a year last year. So Uranus and Taurus is like, we have these new values. Saturn in Aquarius is like, yeah, but we have to have rules around the way we gather in groups. The way we build our future has to be a certain way. And then Uranus and Taurus is like, but you need to be doing it according to our new values, according to the way we have to innovate the money systems, innovate the way we grow food and the way we eat food and consume food and all that good stuff. Okay. So that could be an intense day. At the same time, Venus conjoins Chiron, and Chiron is the wounded healer. Okay. And this can be a healing moment. I always see a little bit of a sensitive thing come out during any Chiron transits. You could have to be honest with the partner. You could have, maybe an old wound pop up, but Venus is really healing here. I really like that. At the same time, Mars is coming close to Neptune. So there is this like spiritual component to it. Like you really are healing something around this time, especially around identity, self-acceptance, self-love, self-worth. And then that actually kind of reflects the sun square Saturn as well. Sun in Taurus my values, my self-worth, my assets. Saturn and Aquarius is like, but the good of the group, that's what we need to think about. I think with Venus and Chiron, it's like, no, I think more focus on how you want to do it. You know, like we've been having to think about others, and I'm not saying don't think about others at all. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is there is a moment when we do have to be self-focused, and this seems like we need to focus on our comfort and our values and really get clear on them, and then also heal whatever wound is keeping us from being authentic and being ourselves, truly ourselves. Like, you know, you're drawing from your own soul during this time. Okay. So then we have the moon's in Scorpio by this time. Let me go back and tell you exactly when the moon enters Scorpio, because this is going to be the sign of the lunar eclipse. The lunar eclipse is exact, like late the 15th, like it may be midnight the 16th in the central US time, but May 14th at 6:10 a.m., the moon moves into Scorpio. So we're already descending into lunar eclipse territory. I will say this, I'm not going to go into a full lunar eclipse explanation right now, but this is the harder of the two. Okay. That's why I'm so excited. I want you to enjoy this moment, at least the Venus Jupiter conjunction, because the lunar eclipse is really about letting go of something. And it could be difficult. It is in a T square with Saturn exactly. I mean, nearly exactly, less than a degree. And so this one is the more intense of the eclipses. We do have it's fortunate that Mars and Neptune are conjoined. I think it could be a little disillusionment, you know. Mars is the ruler of this full moon lunar eclipse, south node, and that's why I say it's letting go of control somewhere, letting go of obsession somewhere. I have the nodal article on my blog. If you go to ecstaticastrology.com, there, just look down, go to my stories, I think is what it's called. It may say blog, but if you go to ecstaticastrology.com to my blog, whatever it says, find the nodal shift article, and it goes through every rising sign and both the lunar and solar eclipse. So if you want a little preview before I do my next video, it's already written, and I'll post the link in the YouTube information. Oh, okay. Well, I think I finally got it done. Now I got to go pack and send some love to my baby. I love her so much. She did so good at her volleyball tryouts, and yeah, I'm not going to embarrass her anymore. And I don't even know if anyone that knows her watches this. So let's see. You know, if they made it to the end, well, thank you. We have a new friend. Also, always feel free to book a session with me if you'd like to know where this is happening in your chart, and like what planets may it be aspecting in your chart. That I can't go through because everyone has a different chart. So can't go through that. The rising signs only go so far when I do my forecast. So if you want a session, I would love to have you. And I may actually offer some eclipse quickies again, but that's only for returning clients. If you've never had a session, we need to do a workup first. That being said, it'll all be at ecstaticastrology.com. Look for me on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr. I'm on Tumblr even. But I'm Ecstatic Astrology on all platforms. And please like and subscribe to my video if you enjoyed this video at all, because it really, really helps me. You have no idea. You have no idea how much it helps. So thank you so much, y'all. I will see you on the flip side. I'll be back for another video for the lunar eclipse coming up May. It's late May 15th. Yeah. Yep, it's like 11:10 p.m. May 15th here in Central US time. So it could be May 16th for you, depending on where you are. Okay, guys, talk to you soon.